And it's funny how now Jade Cargill is painted out as the victim. You have a situation last year where Tiffany Stratton is talking trash on Charlotte off the, outside of wrestling. Talking bad on Charlotte's marriages, and the situation she's had, as a wife to her husbands that she's divorced and things of that nature. Breaking the fourth wall, allegedly, right? That's what Rhea Ripley would call it now. And she does that, is absolutely disrespectful and out of line to Charlotte Flair. And it's viewed as great heat and what a great build to build intensity for this feud. But when Jade Cargill makes a tweet about Rhea Ripley running to creative, she's viewed as classless, and it was a bad act, and she needs to learn how to work as an actual character and be respectful to her colleagues. How does that work? How does Tiffany Stratton do it, and it's viewed as beautiful? What a great story she's building. This is great heat. Jade Cargill does it. It's classless. How'd that work? Bianca Belair last year, we watched in the whole Mania 41 season. I talked about this in my videos. For some odd reason, she was booed out of the building, during the Mania build, and even at Mania back in Vegas. When they were going overseas, she was getting booed. And then back in America, she's getting booed. Why is she getting booed when Rhea Ripley is the one who is forcing herself into the storyline by complaining for 8 weeks straight? Do you see the common denominator? Rhea Ripley's fan base are some of the biggest gooners of all time. I'm tired of sitting here and just ignoring the obvious, guys. Most of her fan base, unfortunately, at least in what it seems, are gooners. They go out there and yes, she has a certain look and a certain aesthetic and they love it. So whether she wrestles or not, which she doesn't, Rhea Ripley, guys, because I'm going to keep going on this. Rhea Ripley had 34 matches in 3 years, televised up until June 2025, and then from 2022 to June 2025, she had 34 televised matches. How in the world can you wrestle 34 matches in 3 years and still go out there and get massive pops? She wasn't telling any good stories. She wasn't having, she was barely wrestling, so even if she did have a good match, it really happened. You guys know she wasn't cutting good promos because she hasn't cut a good promo since 1943. So how is it possible that she was remaining over? Her fan base are diehard gooners, and that is why she is getting all this support and alleged people saying that she's being hated on. She's not being hated on. She's getting, called out on Twitter in a storyline. But amidst all of that, Rhea Ripley has the audacity to go out on Twitter last year and say, oh, it's the fans' fault why women's wrestling isn't taken seriously. Really? With her...
A lot of people are upset at the Jade and Rhea match at WrestleMania. Honestly, I'm not. It's almost like getting a equate Bianca and Rhea match. Which Jade is no way, shape, form Bianca, but she's a good stand-in for Bianca. Because we already saw Raquel and Rhea and stuff like that, which I would have rather Raquel versus Stephanie. I think that would have been good, but they gave us that on Raw. I would have rather that at Elimination Chamber or something. A lot of people was thinking Liv versus Alexa. That would have been good too, but you would have had to get there. I really think Rhea versus Jade not gonna be that bad. Only if we get a good story. I don't know how we're really gonna tell this story because it's brand new. I don't think Rhea ever faced Jade. They might have had a little confrontation backstage or whatnot, but Jade has to win this match. And because Jade is the one that needs the character development. She needs this win under her belt. We have to boost up Jade versus Bianca. That is going to be a knockout selling blow. Because people who don't like Jade wants to see that match too. Jade has to go on a tyrannical run from WrestleMania until either SummerSlam or next WrestleMania. You might get Jade versus Bianca at SummerSlam. That is a money maker in your pocket. You can really throw that on any PLE, but if you really if you got a PLE damn near Elimination Chamber that don't sell tickets, you could throw that on there. But you throw in Jade versus Bianca, SummerSlam. Then you could throw in Jade versus Bianca at WrestleMania 43 in Saudi. I probably wouldn't do it in Saudi because, I don't know, something about Saudi and black women they don't like. I don't know what that's about. I really don't know. They get booed. I keep telling people this, even though the Saudis, you know, they don't consider themselves black, you know, they're Middle Eastern, sorta. But, man, we are just not liked in other countries, except maybe like your Australias, some of your UKs, kind of your European a little bit. But, man, they don't really like us in Saudi like that anyway. So I wouldn't do it at WrestleMania 43. WrestleMania 42 would have been the place to do it, but Bianca's hurt because the doofus son-in-law made her lose at WrestleMania, and, you know, she took a over the moonsault by Io. You know, Rhea didn't eat that pin. Rhea got to eat this pin from Jade. She got to eat it from Jade. Like, Jade needs this boost. You know, Rhea doesn't need it. Rhea is established. She's a legend already. You know, this match has a lot of potential. I really hope, you know, WWE don't screw this up. You know, let Rhea work, let Jade work. Honestly, y'all could let them be the creative part. You know, Rhea been there long enough where, you know, she can dance with Jade. Jade can dance too. You know, she really had to get used to this WWE work, because Jade wasn't bad in AEW. Like, go look at Jade matches. She just kept it short and sweet. You know, a lot of people say, like, oh, Jade can't do long matches. She can't do that. Go look at Jade training with Sheamus. Jade was doing stuff that had Sheamus so out of breath, and Jade was sitting there fine. Jade can do long matches. You know, she just needs a good dance partner. And, you know, Naomi was perfect for bringing in the feud with Jade. Bianca, for sure, take care of Jade. And Rhea and Jade would be perfect. You know, they just really have to make us want to watch this. You know, I would almost book this as a Sami Zayn sort of thing. You know, I would have Rhea sort of make Jade look weak all of March and April. I would do that because not only is Jade, you know, the underdog in this match, but the favor is like 97% Rhea. No one believes Jade could beat Rhea, except probably black people. Like, that's probably it. Black people are just instantly rooting for Jade. You know, there's never in the comment section black people going against Jade or Bianca. It just never happens. You never see black people going against Jade, Bianca, or Naomi. That's it. Like, and it's not even almost a race thing. Like, we just know how great they are. You know, when Jade first came to WWE, yeah, she had some, you know, rough patches. You know, she had to do a little ring work, a little ring awareness. You know, get the timing down right. You know, she ain't AJ Styles. You know, but if you really look in the ring, I mean, look at AJ Lee, look at Becky. You know, the only person that's really, really tight, you know, in the ring is Bayley, Bianca, Asuka. You know, I would almost say Natalya a little bit. Naomi. That's about the only four that's really got that ring awareness like that. And I would say Charlotte before she was injured. You know, I mean, look at Charlotte. She came back off that injury. it was a little weird. She wasn't that confident with that knee, but we understand, like, she back to her normal self. But other than that, I mean, I'm not gonna lie, Tiffany has got good ring awareness. I'm not lying. People down Tiffany, but Tiffany could wrestle. She do some moves that are very close to, you'd be like, oh my gosh, she almost landed on her neck, but she pulls through. But other than that, I mean, give it to Jade. Jade 3, I would almost say one more year, Jade gonna be unstoppable. If they book her right. They gotta book Jade right. I already hate the fact that she calls herself that B, because that's not marketable. You cannot have kids yeeting, and then you can't sell a shirt to those same kids that say I'm that B. Like, it's done on purpose. They're gonna try to hold her back. You never see Bianca calling herself the B word. Like, it's very degrading, and I don't know why they are giving that to Jade. They would never give that to Tiffany. They wouldn't give that to Nia. They wouldn't give that to Lash. Oh, well, you know what? They would give it to Lash. But the fact that Jade is taking that, I honestly hope they redo that some kind of way. Because it's almost, you see, Bianca did it in the best way possible. The EST, the best, the strongest, the fastest. That was a great gimmick. It's essentially saying, it's not saying I'm that B, but it's kind of similar of what Jade is trying to do. So I could see them building up to that. So I don't know, there is a different way to meet that goal, because you cannot market and go down the line for like 5 years calling yourself I'm that B. It's not good. It won't last. Black people are tired of this, I don't know, bad B HOE 304 behavior. Jade is supposed to be the storm and all of this. It's like, now you're calling yourself that B and you want baddies. Like, stop. Like, we don't like that behavior. That's not, I want to say, culturally irreverent. That's just what these small hats promote to destroy black culture. And we all know it now. So Jay got to come up with something else, different heel type gimmick after WrestleMania, beat Rhea, and, I don't know. I don't care. Start calling yourself the EST to face Bianca. I don't care what you do, but we got to get that gimmick that she got off of her now. You won't even be able to market Bianca versus Jade properly saying you're that B. Like, I don't know, call Naomi and try to get some tips. Do something. But Rhea and Jade got potential. You just gotta get there. Rhea and Jade got some potential. You just gotta get there some kind of way. I don't know how, but that's up to creative. Y'all put in the comment section, how can Jade and Rhea get to WrestleMania? Peace.